He broke the jar. So it's beef, onion, and tomato. Can you hear the sound of the water boiling? These people here, remember, there's a whole tradition that connects this dish to Noah. For a long time, this region here was inhabited by Greeks, Christians, Orthodox. Just so we have an idea, there are more than 400 churches here in caves, which were carved into the rocks of Cappadocia. And here was the home of a doctor who served the Greek community. 300 years ago, it was turned into a restaurant that has a very interesting feature. It's a women's cooperative where they cook the food in their own homes and bring it here to serve to the guests. Let's go inside to take a look. Well, first of all, now it's called the Old Greek House, precisely because of that doctor who owned this house 300 years ago. Thank you for having me here. Let's go, let's go. He was explaining to me that we're going to have lunch today where the animals used to stay in the house of the doctor who lived here until the last century. Like I told you, they prepare everything at home. But there's a finishing touch that's done here at the restaurant, and you can see that it's the kitchen of an old house, not a restaurant kitchen. It wasn't made for that, but that's part of the beauty of this place. Everything is very traditional, very homemade, showing us the culture of Cappadocia. She's making this rice here with raisins and onions for stuffing and peppers. Look, now she's stuffing the pepper. It's a very traditional dish from here, and it's also very tasty. We're going to try it in a little while. I'm going to sit here next to this lady who, look, is very nice and is making small meatballs to make a delicious soup. What Cappadocia is seeing, I didn't understand anything she said, but I know it's tasty. She's preparing them here. Look, they're tiny little balls that will be used for the meatball soup we're going to eat in a little while. Ashura, I was really interested in eating this dish, tasting it, because it has a very strong religious meaning in Islam, actually, several meanings. The first here in Turkey, Ashura, is a dish that they believe refers to what happened on Noah's Ark, when in the last days without food, they gathered Noah's family. They put together everything that was left to make a soup and eat because there was nothing else. So Ashura, this dish here in Turkey, has almonds, all kinds of spices, and pomegranate. They put in everything they have as a way to make use of it, to show that nothing should be left behind, nothing should be wasted. It's a lesson that comes with this dish. When you taste it, now I'm going to taste it. But I'll keep telling you the story of this unique dish, because it says a lot about religion. This one is sweet, some aren't sweet. Each one is made in a different way, especially because people don't always have the same leftovers at home. What's also interesting to understand is that Ashura, which is the name of this dish, is the same word used by Shia Muslims to refer to the day of the martyrdom of Hussein, which is a very important date. When Shias all over the world hold demonstrations in the streets, they usually even fast. And Ashura, actually Ashura, comes from the word for 10th, which is the 10th day of the month of Muharram, the day of the martyrdom of Hussein, which is widely celebrated by Shias. So actually it's not a coincidence, because it's also related to the idea of the martyrdom of Hussein for Muslims in Turkey. However, here they remember with all the tradition that connects this dish to Noah. Back in the times of Genesis, in the times of the Old Testament, And there are different traditions, many traditions connecting Ashura to Adam's guilt, and also to Noah in other ways. So in any case, this dish and this idea of Ashura is very interesting because it connects Judaism with Islam and also with Christianity, which has the entire Old Testament as its foundation. Yep. Thank you. Drinking wine here has several meanings too. Well, first, we're in the region of the Orthodox monks who used to make wine here in the monasteries, and there were many monasteries. They created a Christian community here back in the early centuries after the crucifixion of Jesus, and they already started making wine just like Christian monks have always done all over the world. This is a wine produced in Cappadocia today, where there are no longer any Orthodox monks. Because since 1924, when there was an agreement between Greece and Turkey, many Greeks who lived here returned to Greece and Turks from Greece came here. But the tradition continues and comes from way back, right? Let's taste this wine. And all of this is to go with the meze. Meze is typical Turkish food, which comes in several small dishes, which actually is good because we get to try a bit of everything with the local cuisine. There's a salad here, there's beans here, there's grape leaf rolls that a lot of people know. There's this dish that I've been eating a lot, which is delicious here. It's a really thin dough with cheese inside, a dough that really reminds me of Italian pasta. And here, look, the eggplant with yogurt and ground meat, which is incredibly wonderful. I think it's amazing here in the Middle East how well they use eggplant, how tasty it is the way they make it, always smoked, always over the fire. I would love for us to make it more in Brazil because it's so delicious, and with this yogurt here, it made me crave it. It's good, right? Especially with this wine here. Look, it gets even better. Bye. Well, you'll have to forgive me. I'm not going to eat everything. You can see he's taking some away. It's a lot of food. He showed it, right? The ladies wanted to show us what the traditional service is like here and now. After this meze, I'm going to try the dish that for me is the main one. And it's what brings a lot of people to these restaurants here in Turkey, which is the clay pot kebab. That's the one he's bringing here, see? And it has a special preparation and a special way of serving. Let's see exactly how it is. Look, see, there's a layer of dough, like a piece of bread that they put on top, and all the food is inside the jar. See, he broke it here. Look, he broke the jar, see? With the little taps he gave here so he could serve it. It was sealed. And the plate down here too, it's also made of clay, right? Really beautiful. It was hot, boiling. It came boiling to stay hot. The food. All right, so it's beef, onion, and tomato. You can hear the sound of the water boiling, the broth boiling in here still. And now, baklava. This here, I think most people know it. You probably know it. It's the typical Turkish dessert. You can't see Turkey without eating a baklava. I was trying to figure out where it's from. I checked with my oracle here, who told me it comes from Gaziantep, which is a region very close to Syria. A place where, actually, I was about 10 years ago, more or less, when the war in Syria was at its peak, the civil war in Syria. I went there to cover the events, and I remember eating a lot of wonderful sweets in Gaziantep, which is where baklava comes from. This right here, I would say that no one should go their whole life without trying it at least once.